10 movies from the aughts you forgot were box office hits. The 2000s was a golden era at the box office, and the decade produced a ton of movies that made a lot of money but have had their financial success overlooked. Building on the momentum of the late 90s, the 2000s continued to see massive box office hits, some of which passed the billion-dollar mark. Franchise cinema dominated with ongoing series like Harry Potter and the burgeoning MCU gobbling up oodles of cash. Furthermore, the unbelievable blockbuster, Avatar, snatched the crown for the highest-grossing film of all time at the tail end of the aughts. Despite a few runaways, there was still plenty of money to go around for other films. While many of the 2000s box office hits are still beloved films today, it's their financial success that is usually forgotten. Newfound nostalgia for the aughts has kept many of the decade's best movies alive and well years later, but their box office triumph deserves a second look. It's often shocking how many 2000s movies were huge hits. The Perfect Storm, 2000. Disaster cinema had something of a revival in the 2000s, and The Perfect Storm helped kick the trend into high gear. The movie recounts the true story of the Andrea Gale, a commercial fishing vessel that is caught in a massive storm in the year 1991. The film received middling reviews, though it did secure 2 Academy Award nominations. The star-studded cast drew huge audiences, making it the 4th highest-grossing movie of the year domestically. It finished its run with over $320 million, beating out other notable 2000 films like X-Men. Unlike many other forgotten box office successes from the decade, The Perfect Storm has largely been overlooked because it has aged quite poorly in retrospect. Hannibal, 2001. A decade after the release of The Silence of the Lambs, the Hannibal Lecter franchise returned to cinemas with 2001's Hannibal. The thriller catches back up with the title character as he is hunted by a former victim who wants to exact revenge. Anthony Hopkins returned as the creepy cannibal, but Jodie Foster was replaced by Julianne Moore as Clarice. Bad reviews didn't stop the movie from making $350 million and helping it crack the top 10 for the year. Its success proves the popularity of franchise cinema, though Hannibal is best left forgotten. Besides completely gutting characters like Clarice, it's one of the worst horror sequels of all time because it utterly fails to live up to its predecessor. Sweet Home Alabama, 2002. Romantic comedies like Sweet Home Alabama may never again enjoy the same success that they did in the aughts. The Reese Witherspoon vehicle casts her as a New York fashion designer who must return to her hometown in Alabama to divorce her estranged husband. It didn't reinvent the wheel, but it was a massive financial hit. Though it only finished 20th in the domestic box office rankings for 2002, Sweet Home Alabama pulled in $180 million against a relatively small budget of $30 million. It's a cherished and nostalgic piece of early aughts cinema, and one of Witherspoon's career-defining films. It hasn't been forgotten, but its surprising box office appeal is usually overshadowed. Anger Management, 2003. Continuing his hot streak that started in the middle of the 90s, Adam Sandler had another hit on his hands with 2003's Anger Management. Sandler stars as a man sentenced to an unneeded anger management course, and he's paired with an unorthodox therapist. Sandler takes a back seat to Jack Nicholson, who steals the show as the zany Dr. Rydell. Though it's usually considered one of the lesser gems in Sandler and Nicholson's respective careers, Anger Management still got okay reviews. Its real success was at the box office, where it scored nearly $200 million and almost made the top 10. Considering it earned most of its money domestically, the film's numbers are even more impressive. Fahrenheit 9/11, 2004. Even in an era of inflated box office numbers, documentaries rarely made a lot of money at the cinema. Michael Moore's politically charged Fahrenheit 9/11 is a notable exception, and it struck the right nerve at the right time to rake in a ton of cash. The takedown of the Bush administration was strategically released during an election year. The political documentary got excellent reviews which praised Moore's smash-mouth approach, but its lasting legacy will always be the box office. Fahrenheit 9/11 grossed $222 million against a $6 million budget, making it one of the most profitable films of the year. Discounting concert films, Fahrenheit 9/11 remains the highest-grossing traditional documentary ever made. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, 2005. Despite featuring 2 of the decade's biggest stars, Mr. and Mrs. Smith was one of the aughts' most forgettable action films. Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt star as a married couple who suddenly learn that they are both assassins, which spices up their boring life. With no edge whatsoever, Mr. and Mrs. Smith is easily digestible cinema that leaves almost no lasting impression. Nevertheless, the film grossed nearly $500 million worldwide and made it into the top 10 domestically and internationally. With a massive $110 million budget, Mr. and Mrs. Smith would have been a big flop if it wasn't for its huge gross in foreign markets. Perhaps that is why it is generally overlooked among other aughts hits. The Pursuit of Happiness, 2006. With superhero movies and franchises dominating the box office, there was little room for understated dramas like The Pursuit of Happiness. Will Smith acts alongside his real-life son as Christopher Gardner, a man experiencing homelessness who struggles to raise his child in 1980s San Francisco. Unflinching and raw, the film shows another side of Will Smith. Grossing over $300 million, The Pursuit of Happiness muscled its way into the top 15 worldwide. With a $55 million budget, the Smith vehicle was quite profitable and split its earnings between domestic and foreign markets. The drama is still fondly remembered as one of the gems of the aughts, though it deserves more credit for its box office success. Juno, 2007. If ever a film perfectly summarized the aughts indie aesthetic, it was 2007's Juno. The uproarious comedy concerns a precocious teenager who finds herself pregnant and bonds with a family that hopes to adopt her baby. Hilarious and heartfelt, it helped make a star out of Elliot Page and is undoubtedly one of the 21st century's best films thus far. Amid glowing reviews, it's often forgotten that Juno was also a smash. It made $230 million, most of which came domestically, earning Focus Features a rare theatrical hit. Indie films from the era usually made their money through rentals, but Juno actually put butts in seats. Because the film is so great, its financials aren't really part of its legacy. Hancock, 2008. 2008 was a banner year for superhero movies, but Hancock was nothing like the other comic book fare. Will Smith stars as a washed-up man with superpowers who tries to rehab his public image and become the hero he wants to be. Smith's honest portrayal helped carry a movie that was wildly uneven in tone and quality. Moviegoers ate the movie up, and Hancock became 2008's fourth highest-grossing movie worldwide with over $600 million at the box office. Shockingly, Hancock actually outgrossed the MCU's Iron Man, though it did so with a triumphant surge internationally. Despite fading into the background of film history, the subversive superhero flick printed money back in the late aughts. The Blind Side, 2009. History is dotted with drama films that got a lot of buzz, won a lot of awards, and promptly disappeared. The Blind Side is one such movie, and concerns a family who,